not exactly done with the conspiracy theories yet because there's still a lot more to discuss about that. Well, I remember hearing theories that some eyewitnesses actually said that they heard another plane in the area. It's been a long time. I'm sort of forgetting myself. Um, and the fact that people who were in the island of Manhattan, when they looked up, they saw that there was a some kind of seal beneath the airplane, like some kind of sign, like an insignia. You know, some people said that it was the seal of the United States, like it was like this. Okay, the people who went onto those planes were taken off, put somewhere else. They weren't killed. This is, who knows now. Um, they were given special identities, told that they could never see their family again, and basically the witness protection program. Basically, that person dies, and they're given a new life. Then the planes were flown into the buildings, or like I said in the previous episode, they were remote controlled and flown into the buildings. Now, with the Pentagon, that's a rather interesting notion. It has been said that when the Pentagon was hit, there was a lot of footage from surrounding buildings, but the government actually confiscated the footage. So there's only a handful of, I think maybe only a few videos of impact, and that there's only a handful of photographs of impact as well. So a lot of people say that a missile was actually fired into the Pentagon. Some people have actually said that they've seen the missile going into the Pentagon, and that they were told to be quiet. Not a plane, but a missile. We're talking about a cruise missile. Whoosh, boom. That is what I'm talking about. That is what I'm trying to explain to you. And if you've seen images of the impact, some say that the wings are missing, and the fact if the plane went into the Pentagon, there will be a impact in the center of the building, and that there will be, like how you say, lines to the side of it where the wings smashed into the walls of the building, but that wasn't there. It's very sad, very sad. And that there was another conspiracy theories that if when the planes hit the building, when the explosion of smoke came out of the building, that you could see an image of the devil himself. That's scary. You can see some videos like that on YouTube, but I don't believe that. That's like digital digital editing. That's what it is. I don't believe that. Looks scary though. I've seen some of that. Some of those videos on YouTube. I do believe that some people were told to keep quiet because maybe they've seen things that they shouldn't have. I believe that. But besides the conspiracy, it just shows how lax we were. Another conspiracy is that these attacks could have been avoided in some kind of degree, that these could have been avoided. Maybe one of the planes could have been stopped, and the terrorists would have been seen, noticed, and apprehended, taken into custody. But no. I remember one theory that the previous President Bill Clinton, could have done something in the Middle East, and done something to Bin Laden, maybe taken him out then, because another thing that some people don't know is that the United States actually funded Al Qaeda, or some group at the time, in the 80s, when the Soviet Union was trying to fight the Taliban at that time. That Colin Powell actually shook the hand of some key terrorist leader. I'm not sure. Maybe someone could comment. I'll edit it, the description of this video, and put it there. That, and of course he doesn't talk about it now, because if he did, like, hey, what are you doing shaking hands with that guy? Colin Powell would have to say, at the time we weren't enemies, which was true at the time. So let's talk about how the international community reacted. I remember at the time Russia and Britain offered assistance. Because remember, at this time, the United States' reputation was intact. You know, everyone trusted us. We said, "What happened? You need some help? Let me give you a hand. Let me give you some help. Let me give you a hand." You know. So, you know, countries were eager to help. Like, what can we do? Like, is everything okay? And, you know, this was before our reputation was shot. So, I'm not sure if we actually took assistance from other countries, but I do remember other countries offering assistance. And we're going to get into the reactions to people at the time. I remember there were hate crimes against those of Middle Eastern descent. I remember annual news footage of mosques being vandalized, Molotov cocktails being thrown at mosques. Chic, they weren't terrorists, but they were confused. That's the whole stereotype of Middle Easterners. Anyone with a beard and turban were beaten. They were attacked and beaten. Middle Eastern women were heckled due to their burqa, their veil, the veil. They were saying, "You're terrorists, you're terrorists," and things like that. I can tell you now that the whole view of Middle Eastern people in this country has changed, and I think it might never go back to the way it was. If you're on a plane and you sit next to someone who's a Middle Easterner, this Middle Eastern person, you're gonna look at that person and say, "Are you gonna do something? I'm serious." And that's how it is. In New York City, there was also talk of a attack in the subway system. That could still happen, because the whole concept of the whole idea that we can still be attacked. We're still at war, but it's very sad, because innocent people have been stereotyped. Our view of the world has... So where do we go from here? It's hard to say, really. I mean, so many things have changed. Because of September 11th, the United States' credibility, our credibility around the world is shot. No country takes us seriously anymore. We're still bogged down in the useless conflicts known as Iraq and Afghanistan. And the people are still dead. That can't be changed. I mean, the memorials, there are no memorials. And we're almost 10 years there. What's going to happen after 10 years? I've heard that the new World Trade Center towers, the replacements won't be done until 2014. That's years away. You would have thought that by now we would have been halfway finished. But because of bureaucratic nonsense, red tape, and whatever, we're not even halfway there. It's very sad. I mean, I don't know how else to say on that. Maybe there might be some monuments around the country, but as far as I know, and I try to provide as much knowledge as I can for this, there is none. Besides the people who make it their mission so that people won't forget, but people will forget. Like I said in part 1, it's all a matter of time. But I do believe it's time that we talked about that again. So where are we going to be? Let's say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, generations from now. It will be forgotten. I can imagine that these remembrances will eventually leave. People will not do it anymore. As the years pass, people get older, people forget. It's like that. You see, I can imagine this will be not celebrated, but remember for at least 20 years, at least 10 years. We're already going to 10 years, so not much longer if you really think about it. As far as I know, outside New York City, it's already being forgotten. Like I said, there's no flags waving over people's houses. People don't even talk about it anymore. Not because it hurts, but because they have other things to worry about. Our view on the world has changed. There is a term for Arabic people. FWA. Flying while Arab. I'm not sure if that's still used anymore, but that's the term used for people of Middle Eastern descent on airplanes. It's like that as FWA, we gotta look at that person. But you know, that's just how it is. I mean, little kids now are forgetting it. If you were a certain age, I would say if you were less than 15 years old, you forgot it. You know, don't say that you remember it, because I don't think you would. I mean, I know people who want to forget because it was so painful for them. They want to forget for a whole number of reasons. Because, like I said, it hurts. Because this country showed weakness. Because the government is corrupt. The Bush administration or the whole government in general now. That's how it goes. People want to forget. That's the reality of things. And that's why some people do not want us to forget, because it is true. This country was attacked. People died because of, whether you want to believe it, because it was a conspiracy, laziness, a sneak attack, whatever. People died. People cannot come back from the dead. It is the worst incident of terrorism in this nation's history. I will not go off topic. This is only about September 11th, but it's very easy to go off topic. But it's sad. I mean, and that's another thing. I'm going to talk to you about something else. First responders, people who were at the World Trade Center, are dying. You see, this is how it goes. When the towers were hit, first responders, the New York City Police Department, the New York City Fire Department went in to assist the people in escaping, going into the building to see what was going on, to see if they could help. And many died when the towers collapsed. I bet a good number of them knew the risk, and they accepted it, and they went in. They died as heroes. They died saving other people's lives. God bless them for that. I mean, you know, because, and those who, after the towers collapsed, those who went to clean up the debris, a lot of people rushed to the site to help. Firefighters, even people that were off duty, even some volunteers went. They stayed at the site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because I remember at the time, the cleanup actually went faster than predicted. I heard it was maybe 6 months to a year ahead of schedule, because people stayed there non-stop. People only rested to eat and sleep. Some people, they just stayed there all the way until it was done. So we're talking about years later, and a lot of these first responders who did not wear masks, filters, or anything to protect themselves now have lung cancer, chronic breathing problems due to the fact that they inhaled dust, debris, asbestos, whatever. And some are dying because of it. But the government is actually not giving care, coverage, and benefits to their family if they died, If they're sick now, they're not getting coverage due to various reasons. I don't know why. And I've heard that some insurance companies actually try to find, loopholes in their story on purpose, not to avoid paying them. Like I said, first people that were not on duty, first responders, they said, "Well, you was not on duty. We're not paying you." I know I'm saying the truth when I say this. They're trying to find excuses not to pay them. Like workers' compensation. I worked at Ground Zero. That's what it's called over here. I worked at the site. My breathing isn't that good. I want some. I would like some of my benefits, or maybe some financial help to help pay for medical bills. And then the insurance company would say, "No, you were off duty at the time. Your benefits do not cover this kind of thing," or any other nonsense like that. It really is crazy because these people risk their lives to clean the debris, to save people, and to pull people from the debris, and they're not being treated fairly. It is expected that these people will die 20 to 30 years sooner, something like that, because it's in their chest, it's in their throat, it's in their bodies, and that's something that is unavoidable. A lot of people thought that at the time nothing would have happened, but don't forget, when the Twin Towers, the World Trade Center was built, it was built under different safety conditions as they are now. Now it's illegal to use asbestos in building construction, when back then it was legal because people did not know the risks. And if you think it's bad now, it's only expected to increase as time goes even further along. Are we any safer than we were before? The government says that we're safer now, that the United States is safe. Personally, I don't believe it. As I said throughout this entire special episode of the Shadow Parliament, that we're not safer. We're just as vulnerable as we were before. Some even say that we're even more vulnerable now because that we basically angered the whole world. So in conclusion, I just have a few other things to say. It has often been told to us that we need to remain strong in the face of this new age, this new world as it is. Personally, the world's just the same. September 11th will eventually be forgotten, as all things are. Just like Pearl Harbor, just like the Alamo, just like World War I, the Lusitania, just like World War II with Hawaii. It will be forgotten. What I'm afraid of is that, will something like this happen again? Let's say that in 20, 30 years, something like this happens again. What's going to happen to us? What? Are we going to have more people die because of the fact that we were on our guard, we were attacked, we were vigilant, then as the years passed, we began to relax and fall back into our old habits? I don't know. Because of this, a lot of people don't trust the government. We have a new generation of young men and women who do not trust the government at all. There is more criticism against our country than ever before. This is a brave new world, but for who? A lot of people would want to go back to how it was when things were easier. We knew who our villains were, who the enemy was. We knew what good and evil was. It was basically as this and that. Now it's not so clear. Like the ultimate fear is that we would be attacked again, whether it's on a boat, another plane, or in a train. People are more afraid. I believe that we're all still afraid. in the fact that we don't, in some ways, we don't do things the way we used to. When it comes to airline travel, we're more careful. And speaking of airline travel, there's like a whole lot of checkpoints and all this and that. And some people question it because I remember like a little bit after attack, there was this shoe bomber guy who went onto a plane with a bomb in his shoe and tried to detonate it. It didn't go off, but even with all of the protection in place, we're still not any safer. We have a new bureau in our government. It's called the Homeland Security. A lot of people don't think it's worth squat. A lot of people just say that it's there to get the public to get behind the government on this whole war on terror. What is the war on terror anyway? This was a thing coined by Bush and the axis of evil to get us to go to Iraq. Is there an axis of evil? I don't think so. Because you cannot get rid of this. It's just the way it is. It's like, and I'll tell you another thing. Like whenever this day comes around, it's always kind of cloudy, windy, and it rains. I've noticed that. All these years, it's always like that. Maybe it's just like that for a reason, or maybe it's just me. But, you know, that's just how it is. In conclusion, I just have this to say. It's all just a matter of time, you know? Will such a thing like this happen again? I don't know. But let me show you a photograph. This is basically what a lot of people think of when they think of New York now. I'm going to bring my camera around. I'm going to get everything ready, and I want to show it to you. Okay, just bear with me for a moment. Let me just get it set. This is what people think of when they think of New York. In a way, a lot of people are sort of afraid to come to New York City because when it comes to terrorist locations across the United States, New York City, I should say, is still the top place to go. But a lot of people think twice now. Is the United States safer? I don't know. Do people think differently of us? Yes. But I just wanted to see this. You know? The World Trade Centers are gone and they'll never come back. You know? And that's another thing. The whole Freedom Towers, as we've been told to believe, are still not done. Where does that leave us? Where does that leave us as a country? I don't know. But this is a rather deep topic, no matter what you believe. You believe it's a conspiracy, you believe it was an attack by an enemy, you believe it was a sign of weakness, whatever you think, I don't know. But no matter what, at least for the time being, it will be a sensitive issue and something that most people cannot forget. It will be forgotten, but the people that will never forget are the friends and family of those who lost loved ones.